This is 𝗬𝗏 and welcome to Thundertown. Well, here we are expanding the steel factory. Welcome back to Maximus Mining and Manufacturing. So here I'm taking some of these smaller factories and I'm filling in the area around the base of the steel factory. I mean, I like the steel factory, but there's a lot of open space between. There's a lot of concrete, a lot of these cargo containers and parking lots. I kind of want to cover all of that up and make this one massive building. So here I'm expanding the use of these factories, and I'm using them along the base here to make the building look that much bigger. There's more covering up on the other side here, and I found I don't know, it was a warehouse or a factory building that I just love here, and started placing it in here to cover up this cargo area. You can see I've placed some factories around the outskirts of the larger steel factory, some standard industry buildings to fill in the area. And here I'm using that big black train door to make a tunnel through the building, and a concrete block to sort of cover up some of the windows. So I'm going to copy this over to the other side of the building so that I have a place for vehicles to exit. And I was looking at these pipes on the side that go into the sides of the building and decided I had to do something with that. So I grabbed one of these concrete blocks and I just stuck them in here so it looks like the pipes that go into the concrete. Next up we have the water tanks. I figured that the factory needed a cooling area, some water and some water towers, and this little strip right next to the factory, between the factory and the wall, seemed like a really good spot for it. So I started taking these big rusty water tanks that I really love and got them to a size I thought fit pretty well here and replicated them to see how that might look. And now I'm going and looking through my assets for pipes. There's quite a few good ones that I really like, but they're two different colors. They're sort of this white and this yellowish color. So I went through and I recolored them all to sort of be close or pretty close in color. I was originally thinking of using some of these sets of pipes from the 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝘀 nuclear reactor set. So something I wanted to do here is I wanted to make it so that it looked like all of these water tanks were connected to one another. So I started putting these pipes in a way in between them to, sort of just make them all look like one long unit. Here I'm sort of experimenting with how to connect the two water towers to the two water tanks together. I finally think I got it here. And there we go. I went with 5, and I really do love how these turned out. I couldn't really think of a reason why there would be so many pipes, but I'm assuming that maybe there's some water flow going one direction and maybe, water going the other, so that some of these tanks are being filled with warm water. Maybe the cold water's being pumped out of other tanks, so that they can heat, hot water comes in and it gets cooled and goes back out. I didn't do anything to show that with steam or anything coming off of these water tanks, but here I took a water pump and PO'd it and made it much smaller, so I had these weird two little pipes going down into the ground. I found like a small, I don't know, generator, gas tank, something. And this little square was sticking out of that building, so I put it next to each one of them. And here now I'm trying to figure out how to do where to sort of terminate these pipes and like what they should end in. And I figured, well, maybe they'll go underground here at this point. I moved all the pipes out of the way because now I figured, yeah, there's an area right here that would be really cool for a building. And I found this building with all these pipes. And I, well, okay, more pipes. That's what I want. I want lots of pipes in this area. I took a pipe and I made the end of, I just got rid of everything but that little end, so I could actually have it look like the pipe is attached to something. So I don't know what this facility would do, but I'm pretty sure it would be something to do with the water tanks. Here I bring in 2 water towers, and these are functioning water towers for the city. I'm copying the color for the prop color mod. And here we have a little cinematic. We're going through here, and you can see there's a lot of detail, a lot of dirt and trash and other things I've added. Unfortunately, I lost all the footage of that. Or at least I thought I took footage of it. I guess I didn't. Sometimes I forget to press record. So here's a cinematic going the opposite direction that I took just after I had finished the water area without all the detailing. This is the maintenance yard. So the vehicles, that service the mine and, move the ore need a service area. So this is actually a ore maintenance building asset. At least the 2 concrete canopies in the center are. You'll see me momentarily here plopping that down and starting to grab some of the, the prop trucks from around the area to fill this up with. So here it is with the 2 canopies, and I came back in here later and I put 2 more concrete canopies that match these to make it look bigger when I was doing some of the detailing of this area. Here I'm going around and I'm grabbing some of the vehicles I've already used throughout the area because I wanted to be, consistent with the vehicles I've already got. And finally, I'm putting some fencing in here, sort of fencing off the area that I'm going to be constructing for this maintenance area. Why do you need a maintenance area? Well, so you don't end up like this guy. Guess he didn't bring his truck in. And manufacturing. So it's not just the Maximus Mining Corporation, it's also manufacturing. So along the back here, we've got some of these different factories. Here's one that's got spools of cable. It's the Redstone Copper wire factory. And along the back here, you can see those ore storage areas, and on the right, a few more, little factory buildings. This one here is still unnamed, and I'm still waiting for someone to suggest something. Along the back here, I added another of this dark ore, storage. And again, along the back here, along this cliff face, a couple of smaller factory buildings, and the train yard up ahead here. Here on the left you can see a little entrance into a closed-off mine. So here's some of the factories, the factory assets. They're functioning factories, and I've plopped them down here, and I've done a little extra work to change their color or add additional buildings to them to try to detail them up a little bit. And here I'm grabbing the smokestacks again. Again, still covering up smokestacks with these big concrete ones. I came back in here and I had lost a couple of these ore areas for some reason. I might have deleted them by accident, so I ended up putting some of them back in here. And this is right before I did a lot of detailing with trash as I put these fences in to sort of give this area a boundary. I continued that fence down the rail line here, and I put this building in, this orange building, and here I'm grabbing some smokestacks to cover the smaller smokestacks on it. I like it that it has 3 smokestacks. So I started going around grabbing these different size smokestacks to cover them up with. And one thing, I love the shape of this building. I just don't like the look of this building. Like, I don't like the color, the bright white and the orange. So I got a hold of these rusty tanks that I love again, and I covered up the tanks on the building. And then I was thinking, all right, I really want to cover this building. So I found this sort of beat up factory asset and started turning it into a PO and started shaping it to cover the other building. So in the end, I end up covering everything except a few of the pipes and you see in the back. These orange pipes and these barrels, I think, are the only thing that don't get covered. I spend a bunch of time reshaping that same factory asset, that same building that I started with. I just copy it over and over and reshape it into bigger and smaller pieces to cover up the areas. I eventually came in and I added some of the vents, the rotating vents to this, although I don't have footage of that for some reason. I mean, this is where I believe the trucks were pulling up on the front of this building, so I put a door there so it looks like they're actually coming up to the door. And eventually I placed a couple of block assets under here to increase the amount of traffic so that there's additional trucks coming to this building. So it's not just a single factory, it's actually multiple smaller factories inside there. I was trying to find a cool sign to put on the building here, and I found this warning sign, danger sign. I placed it back by that entrance that you saw me build earlier. And here I'm just sort of finishing it off a little bit before I move on. Rock on. Okay, so all along these switchbacks, this back edge here, I decided I needed to finish this all with these rocks. Because I had been going and doing it a little bit at a time. So I spent an entire evening one day just filling in all of this area and detailing this all the switchback areas. I came through here and I put, light poles and everything all along this whole thing. So here we go, grabbing these beautiful gray flame rocks, and then I'm getting these the rock buildings again that I detailed all along the tops and bottoms of the rocks all around the radio plateau earlier. So one thing I wanted to do here is I wanted to make sure every inch of this area was covered with something. some little rocks or decals or dirt or something. So as I went through this area, I was really concentrating on making sure every bit of it got covered. And I'm copying and pasting some large chunks of these rocks over to the other side, and then just moving them around and sculpting them like I did before. Something I did, it was on camera, but I decided not to do a video of, although unless somebody really would love to see it, is I did the entire valley. I went around and did like a lower level and then worked my way all the way up the cliffs, all the way to the top. So everything that's visible from the town, from this area of the valley, is completely finished in these huge procedural object Great Flame rocks from bottom to top. And you're going to see in the cinematics, you'll be able to see in the background, everything that you can see in those at the end here is completely finished with rock. I haven't completely detailed all of the valley, like I haven't gone around the base of all the cliffs and put in fallen rocks and big chunks of rock and things like that, but I do suspect that I will do that at some point. I just want to get... It's already starting to lag a little bit and already giving me a little bit of stutter when I'm taking some of these cinematics. I'm probably going to have to be turning off, like separate the valley into large sections and assign them to layers in procedural objects, and turn them off when my cinematics that I'm shooting are facing away from them, so that you don't see that area anyway, and it doesn't create lag for me. And here we go again, filling up all of the tops and bottoms of these rocky areas with these rock buildings. I have several thousand. I have like 6,000 buildings in the city now. And they're not actually buildings, because these rock pieces were built as buildings, even though they don't house anybody or have any use. They're just a decoration. They're considered a building to the game. Next episode, the Waterworks. Hey, this is 𝗬𝗅𝗏. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. And for our post-credits bonus scene this episode, we have a fly-through of the valley.